This is The Miller's Edge with Christian Miller, two-time national champion and team captain for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and former Carolina Panther, and his father, Corey Miller, the pastor of pain, a 9-year NFL veteran with the New York Giants and University of South Carolina Hall of Famer. This is The Miller's Edge.
And welcome into this Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing well. Got a nice little lineup of things to discuss today, as usual. Just like me and Chase were talking, man. Every day there's going to be new developments, things coming up, things happening. So we'll talk about what those things are. And also, we didn't get to a video yesterday about the tier list from On Through JD Piquel. I definitely want to do that. It's like an 8-minute video. We're going to watch that and respond to that. Obviously, we spent a lot of time responding to Damian Harris and his predictions for 2025. That was fun to do, but now we're going to listen to this tier list. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. You're probably going to have some interesting responses with this video as well. So looking forward to doing that here in a minute. Shout out to everybody that's joining us on the stream and that continues to do so. Again, at The Miller's Edge on YouTube. If you guys prefer the visual, you guys want to watch me do the show, you guys want to watch the videos that we throw up on screen. Again, listen on radio, totally cool, totally fine. We encourage that. Absolutely. Download the app, do that as well. But just an added bonus, if you guys do join on the stream, you get to watch us do the show, which is cool as well. If you do, you can hang out in the chat, interact with each other, drop your messages and questions and stuff right there, as we like to do. Plus, I can talk with you guys during the break. So just consider that if you guys are interested. Completely free, by the way. All we do is ask you to drop a like on the videos on the stream and subscribe. That way we can continue to keep it free. And that definitely would help us out. That being said, the app as well. Download that. Leave your Title 100.9 apps there. You can, if you got a question, you want Chase to read it, we'll read it live on air and discuss that. Plus, you can listen to the show virtually anywhere and everywhere, literally like outside the country and all that stuff. So download that Tide 100.9 app. Per usual, I got to remind you about our friends over at the Good Feet Store, America's arch sport experts. Try before you buy, nothing to lose. If you're in any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, you got to check them out. You can start by going to the location here in Tuscaloosa. Just walk in. Walk-ins are welcome. Or if you want to be a little more punctual, you might be on a time crunch, go ahead and schedule an appointment. Go to the website, goodfeet.com. You can get a free personalized fitting. They'll even show you your arches, what you need to do to work on that, which is clearly the arch supports, right? They'll get all that stuff in balance. You'll be alleviated from that pain, clinically proven to do so in 4 weeks. Like, these things are the real deal. And it's as simple as popping them in your shoes. The good news is they go in any type of shoe, not just specific running shoes or anything like that. It could be a work boot, any type of boot. Hell, they even have the supports that literally go in sandals, which is crazy to think about. But they have like stick pads that stick them down in there. And it works like that. Really easy to do. So make sure you guys check out the Good Feet Store. I'm telling you, try before you buy, nothing to lose. This personalized system is going to change your life. It definitely has changed mine. I use them all the time. They help me out, whether I'm, walking around all day, on a game day, doing, broadcasts and, things like that, walking from downtown to the stadium, or I'm walking my dog outside in this very hot weather. These arch sports are game changers. So make sure you check them out. Again, that is the Good Feet Store. Improving the quality of people's lives, 2 feet at a time. Chase, you want to hear something funny? I just thought about this. I don't think I told you this when we were chopping it up before we got on air, but you ever just have like random dreams and you like forget about it and it pops back up? Well, that happened to me last night. And really this morning, because I think like early this morning, I think I woke up at like 5 and went back to sleep. I had like the most interesting dream. So what it was I was like talking with somebody up at the complex about like getting a ring designed, like that I missed out on. And what it was it Coach Saban's final year? I'm drawing it. But anyway, when they won the SEC championship in 23, obviously I was serving a sideline reporter, and I didn't realize that if you were part of the broadcast team, you could have got a ring. Now, maybe there was a miscommunication, whatever, but I didn't get one that year. And I think in this dream, I was like talking with them, like, oh yeah, have them redesign it. I'll just go ahead and I'll buy. If they can go back and make another one. Then I woke up, I was like, dang, I must have been really wanting a ring. And what made me think of that is that I'm looking at the YouTube chat, and Brock says, one day, Christian, show me your Bama championship rings. Well, I'll do that here in about a minute because I've got them right here on my desk. And if that works over the stream, yeah, maybe in person. We like to do our show live Fridays of home games at a venue in Tuscaloosa. So if you want to see them in person, definitely make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll announce that here in a little bit, but I can show you here in this break, Brock, in a second. But anyway, that made me think that I was like, wait, I just had a dream about championship rings last night, which speaking of championship rings, would be nice to bring some more back to Tuscaloosa. We've been talking about what needs to happen for that to happen. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Obviously, we love talking Alabama football. But if there's anything else you guys want to hit or touch on, you got finals going on. We never really dive into that. But you guys know the drill. Drop us an @ message. Call us, 205-342-9904. Hell, me and Chase can talk really about anything, man. And if you didn't know that by now, you'll know once we start talking a little wrestling here and there when there's some big events going on with that. But that being said, we got to hit a timeout. When we come back, I say we get started, Chase, maybe with this SEC tiers list, or we could segue a little bit about, I'm trying to, take a little bit of a break from the legislation deal, but the problem is there's developments that are big. One of those being we're already seeing some lawsuits, and a lot of people assume this was going to be the case. Well, it's definitely happened. I don't know if you would say sooner than later, but you already have a group of women that have filed an appeal to the House versus NCAA approval deal that we've been discussing this whole time, arguing that it violates Title IX gender equity in the statute involving that. So we'll see what comes from this. I believe Gary Harris had someone on his show discussing that, so maybe we'll read through that. I think Chase or one of the folks at the station had written an article about it, so we'll see what she had to say and kind of dive into that and see what that might look like. I've been doing my homework, like I said. I've been trying to sit here and ask around and find out more details on how this new landscape will look. I got a few more answers. Plus, Greg Byrne was on the station talking to Ryan Fowler yesterday, so we definitely can dive in that as well. So we'll find out where we go when we come back from this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Taylor Electrical Radio.
All right, Brock, if you're still in here, man, I'm assuming you meant like right now. But like I said, we do the show live. We'll announce kind of the more details on that as we get closer to football season. But I do have them right here. Let's see. First one, well, I'll just show you the whole box again. I gave a little flash of them like a week ago. Hold on, let me make sure they don't fall out. That's the only problem with this box. Nice box, but it needs to like hold them down. Happy lunch hour, Mike. What's going on? All right, here we go. And there you go, Brock. Which one's your favorite? Really, I guess that goes to anybody. Which one y'all think looks the best? Now, obviously, all of these aren't national championship rings. 2 of them are. But if you had to pick one, it's kind of hard to see let me see if I can get a little closer. Oh, see? That big heavy one in the back can't behave itself. All right, hold on. All right, so this is let me just go in order real quick. I think I got a little bit of time. All right, my first year, 2014. That's an SEC championship ring from 2014. Why is it not focused? Is it going to focus? Not focusing much, but there you go. That was a 2014 SEC championship ring. We beat Missouri. The next year, 2015. Yep. 2015 SEC championship ring. I believe we beat Florida that year. Yep, beat Florida. And then we won a national championship that year. So we ended up getting 3 rings total. So we got that one I just showed you. This is the national championship ring. This guys might be my favorite. I just feel like it's very, very intricate. It's got the gold, the diamonds, the red. And then you always got a championship ring from the committee. So this is the committee ring that went with that one. So you always technically you get 2 national championship rings. You get one from the committee, which they always look like this. And then you get we're about to come back real quick. And then the following year, 2016, was this SEC championship ring. Obviously, we didn't get a national one the following year.
.9.
And welcome back into this Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. If you're tuning in on the stream, this is why you tune in on the stream. Brock wanted to see the ring, so I was over here giving a whole, I guess, review, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. And I know I showed them like a week or two ago, but this time I actually individually was showing each one, which is pretty cool. So if you guys want, check out the YouTube stream. You can see my rings. I stopped at like 2016, so we got a few more to go. We'll do that during the next time out. But for now, we're going to dive into the show. All right, Chase. I wish I had a coin to kind of flip to see where we start. I want to hit this tiers list, but I feel like it's kind of, a hot topic right now with the whole deal with the appeal that's been filed. Let's stick there. We're going to get to this SEC tiers list, but I feel like it'd be kind of going back and forth if we go to the tiers, then jump back to legislation. In terms of this legislation thing, I will say, let me give you some. So after asking around, kind of learning a little bit more about this stuff. So if I'm not mistaken, from what I guess solidified, Chase, what I was thinking. Yay, Alabama and that entity still obviously going to be very active. I heard him say that we have, maybe like the second most active members for any collective, something like that. Awesome. You guys have been really buying into that, literally and physically, I guess. But the deal is, though, obviously with the deals being over $600, they have to be approved. So if I'm not mistaken, they're still going to have that fund. And for any time these guys are asked to probably do signings or appearances or anything that has to do with their actual name, image, and likeness, they still will be able to be compensated via that. And Yay, Alabama can still get them, deals. The whole, CTSM has a whole side of things where they literally do that. Whether it was for the university originally, trying to sell advertising and stuff, they still can do all that. It's just, it's just going to be cleaned up where, it's not going to be, how they were doing with the collective, where the collective was literally just merged, right? You had those actual deals, but also like the paying of the players via the collective, because that was the landscape. Now you remove that piece because that piece moves over to the revenue sharing, and you keep the collective side of things just for those types of deals. That being said, what I did learn too is most schools, if not all, were already prepping. Well, most of them should have been. The smart schools were already prepping for this. And so what they did was, once that legislation was approved, Chase, they went ahead and front loaded those deals that were already in place. Meaning, like, there was an agreement on a guy making X amount of money or whatever. Yes, you have the revenue sharing coming up, but they wanted to go ahead and lock those deals in before this whole change happened. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, instead of that guy probably getting, what he was typically going to get, on a monthly base, like I cannot speak right now, on a monthly thing, right? Like, he just got it up front. That way it was secured. Similar to what you saw from or heard about, like with the pitcher from Texas Tech, right? They went in and front loaded it knowing that was coming. They wanted to get that in that way. There was no, because if you waited, then it has to be approved. And they're taking this whole approval thing serious, Chase. I mean, like, you have to be reporting these deals. If not, it falls on the player, the university. I mean, you're talking about suspensions, and they're going to take it serious. So what it sounds like to me is like they're kind of going back to what it was initially, because, well, obviously we couldn't do NIL, but, they took things serious. Like, if you didn't self-report violation or do things like, I mean, like, there was real punishment for that. Sounds like they're cracking down on that, which is good. So the more I learn about this, Chase, it's like, yes, I see the weaknesses. I understand that it's not perfect, but I also realize that they are attempting to get some type of guide rails, and that is a good start. And I think they can grow off of that. Chase, where do we have that? You said there's an article about the Title IX thing, because that was the other thing that obviously is going to be a thing. And this is one thing I do need to get more, of an idea on. I keep putting this out there. Thing about this, Chase, football, a school with a good football program, they're getting at least 70%, at least, and rightfully so, given they're the ones generating all that money. We talked about football, right? I mean, football was in a situation where they made like $27 million last year. Basketball, men's basketball, made $6 million last year. The rest of the sports lost money. Not to mention, football also has 105 guys on the roster, right? So you need much more money to cover that, right? That's why that sheet we looked at showed the average for basketball, even though they were allocated much less money, they still averaged more money per player because they only have 15 players versus 105. Which leads me to the point which we're about to talk about. This whole deal with, you already seen an appeal given these female student athletes feeling that there's a violation of Title IX. Why? Because the reality is there's not going to be much of that revenue share going around to many of those women's sports. And that's unfortunate, but it kind of resembles, let me tread lightly here, but it kind of resembles like the WNBA, NBA model, right? You got one league that's earning all the revenue, the other league not really earning anything, really probably losing money. And the reality is the money's going to go to where the money's coming in, right? It only makes sense. But you do have, some, women's sports that are busting their tails, and they deserve to be compensated. I agree 100,000%. But the problem is when you have a cap like that, there's only so much that can go around. And so I definitely understand the concern by some of these women that are part of this appeal. Chase, where do we have that article that we can throw up here real quick? Is it on Tide?
Well, if you could go to Front Office Sports,
Okay.
.com, and then it should be under, let me see, I have it right here. Yeah.
I'm on their top website, or not
See.
top, the top front page.
Let
Guys,
me
what
see.
is going on? I swear, man. I'm telling you, it's. I think learning another language, man, everything just gets jumbled up. You said the first. Let me see. New enforcement group. No. Maybe I'm missing it. Would it be under women's sports or college athletics? Maybe both. Maybe. Oh, here it is, right here. Group of women file athletes file. Good deal. So let's share this real quick on the screen, and we'll read a little bit about. So this is so Amanda Kristovich. This is who joined Gary's show. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
All right, good deal. So she's the woman that joined Gary this morning. So let's see her article. So first appeal of the landmark settlement. Again, we figured these are going to start coming in, and you already got one, arguing that the terms violate Title IX in the statute governing gender equity in sports. A group of 8 women filed an appeal of the House vs. NCAA settlement approval on Wednesday, arguing that I'm getting ads all over my screen, that it violates Title IX gender equity statute, and the appeal only challenged the back damages portion of the settlement. It's the first appeal, which would offer $2.8 billion. It's the first appeal of this settlement that offers $2.8 billion in back damages. Oh, so Chase, it sounds like they're appealing the back pay portion, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it sounds like. So now that I think about it, that does makes more sense. Let's keep reading real quick. As well as allow schools to share revenue with players for the first time. The settlement was approved Friday night. We know that part. Let's see. Including many related to Title IX. The law firm, Hutchinson, Black & Cook, which filed the appeal on behalf of athletes, also filed one of many objections to the settlement during its approval process. But now the firm is making another attempt. The 8 athletes are a mix of track, soccer, and volleyball players. Before I move on much further, I'm just going to be honest with you, Chase. Unfortunately, those sports specifically, I mean, really sports in general, but we don't have a men's soccer team, but those sports, man, they don't generate money. But let's keep going. There's a list of the young ladies' names right there. It looks like you got them from various schools. Vanderbilt being in the SEC, College of Charleston, Virginia. The group argues that the calculation to distribute the $2.8 billion in damages violates Title IX because female athletes would theoretically receive less money than football and men's basketball players in damage payments and revenue sharing. Attorney Ashlyn Hare estimated it deprives female athletes of $1.1 billion in a statement to Front Office Sports. Paying out the money as proposed would be a massive error, and that would cause irreparable harm to women's sports. Chase, man, obviously I want to tread lightly because I don't want to offend anyone, but I look at this from the technical standpoint here of, I mean, we're comparing like track and field, which I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, track and field, I think you can buy tickets to watch the meets, but like, let's just be honest, man, that like those meets aren't really generating anything, if that. And really the big money with football, we all know that's like TV deals, man. So track and field, I mean, even like the soccer, they're not generating money like that, man. And they're arguing 1.1 billion of that, of the 2.8 billion should belong to, or it's depriving, the female athletes here. And we just talked about, I mean, even South Carolina women's basketball, Chase, I'm pretty sure they reported a negative. And we know how dominant that program is. I mean, you're talking about Dawn Staley, the most famous and most successful women's coach, really. Well, obviously you got some other, UConn, all that, but you get what I'm saying? Like, that program wins a championship year after year. It's tough because, look, man, I believe any athlete that's, was, putting their body through that, going through, the whole experience of being a student athlete, definitely, everybody's deserving, but I don't know how we justify $1.1 billion of the 2.8. I mean, Chase, that's nearly half of it. And again, when you're talking about what actually was bringing in the revenue and who was losing, I mean, it's just a fact, man. The stats show it. Football and men's basketball, and really men's basketball, it really is just depending on the school. There's not even many men's basketball programs that bring in money. Football is just a money pumping business. And we've talked about, again, the media rights deals is a big part of that. Yeah, the tickets is a big part too, especially at big universities, but those media deals are huge, man. And I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, man. And he even said it. Y'all know he's close to South Carolina. He's friends with Dawn Staley. He goes to the women's basketball. He's a big supporter of them. But he even said they sell out arenas. But guess what? They still are in a negative. Why? They're selling out arenas, but the tickets are like $10, man. And I'm not saying that to knock them. It's just a fact. So unfortunately, that's not going to drive a whole bunch of revenue. I mean, they're going to make some money from their TV because people actually are tuning in to watch South Carolina's, women's basketball team, LSU women's basketball team. You know what I mean? But still, is it enough to justify $1.1 billion out of 2.8? Personally, man, again, without being offensive and just being completely honest here, Chase, I don't see how they justify that. But I haven't read the whole thing. Let me see if we can. I know we got to hit a break here. The settlement suggests would have paid male athletes over 90% of their revenue over the past 6 years, as though Title IX didn't apply. If Nike wants to do that, that is their choice. If the school or conference acting on the school's behalf tries to do that, they are violating the law. They can either pay the athletes proportionately or they can return all of their federal funds, but they can't do both. See, they're taking the approach, and I get it, like, there should be equity, given that they also were student athletes. But the problem is this money is not just for saying like, hey, you were a student athlete, you deserve this. Even with the men, I mean, think about it. The way it's calculated is who was generating money, right? Like who's deserving of that. There's a reason that some men's play, all football players in college are men. I guess maybe like one or two, right? But all the way we're separated on that list is like, all right, what school did you go to? What kind of games were you playing in? How much did you contribute? Were you somebody that might have been selling a plethora of jerseys while you were in college, right? Like, hell, it's not even really like it's not linear for us either, because they're actually looking at factors about, like, realistically, what did you actually miss out on? Like, yeah, you could argue. I mean, Asia Wilson, right? Dog. I mean, talking about one of the best basketball players in college basketball, even what she's doing with Vegas, right? But, like, yeah, she probably missed out on a lot of money. I would imagine maybe somebody like her would probably get a bigger chunk of that. But let's just be honest, man. Like, unless you're like a big time star in one of those sports that's losing money, it's hard to justify. And I get we want equality, but again, this feels similar. And I could be wrong. And please, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to see y'all's opinion in the chat. Anybody listening via radio, drop that message. Maybe I'm wrong, because I know there's some people that feel strongly even about the WNBA model. And I know this is kind of a tight line to walk. But if I'm just being honest, man, from a business perspective, it really boils down to what you're bringing in, right? It's no different than like the USFL. Those players, respectfully, they can't sit there and expect to make what NFL guys make. They could say, yeah, well, we're playing football. We're playing on Fox or whatever network they're on. And, we're former NFL guys, a lot of us. We should be what's the problem here, though, guys? They're not making, like, the league doesn't make not even 1% of what the NFL makes. So it doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's hard for me to justify 1.1 billion of that. I mean, like, maybe if you think they need to up it a little bit in some areas, or for some people that felt like they missed out on some stuff. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but maybe I need to read a little bit more. But I do know we need to take a timeout. So let's do that. Let's take a timeout, Chase. While we do that, everybody in the chat, we got a number of people here in the YouTube chat. So you guys discuss. I'm gonna go back and look at it. Let me know what you guys think. So far, what we read. We didn't read the whole thing, so I hate, jumping to conclusions before we finish. But so far, what we've read, you've got 8 women that feel like, and this is a back pay portion of things, so it's good that we have that clarified. They're talking about the $2.8 billion in back pay for, folks like myself that played, participated in college athletics during that time. They feel like they're basically being shorted like $1.1 billion or so for women's athletes during that time. What do you guys think? It kind of feels a little familiar to the WNBA, NBA kind of argument. But let me know. Again, maybe you guys don't agree. If you don't, that's fine. Let me know what you guys think. I want to get y'all's thoughts. But first, we got to take a quick time out. We'll be right back right after this break here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Yeah, I promise. I hope I'm not being offensive. I'm curious what you guys think, though, man. It kind of reminds me of the W. Not really, kind of. It does. It reminds me of the WNBA kind of deal. And I'll say this, man. Like, I really got into watching, women's basketball a lot more. The whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese saga. And I know my dad's always, oh, I've been watching it. Like, kudos to him. Personally, I wasn't watching it a whole bunch. Nothing against it. I hadn't really tuned in much. But a few years ago, watching those series, and I've always watched like Carolina women's basketball, being from there, and knowing Dawn Staley and that stuff. But yeah, I became a bigger fan. But I guess what I'm getting at is respectfully, man. Before that, I don't even think the viewership was. I mean, I would argue that the viewership in the last few years is probably, and we could probably look this up, but probably astronomically higher, which is even more of a reason that it would be hard to justify that. What do you guys say? Oh, let me finish my ring tour real quick for Brock, since we left off on 2016, the SEC championship ring. Following year, all right, we only got 2 rings that year because we didn't play in the SEC championship. Remember, we lost to Auburn in the final regular season game. So these are the ones we got from that year. So picking up where we left off, we got this one that's from 2017. It's the championship ring. A lot of people like this one, actually. My favorite was that first championship ring, that 2015 one, but this is 2017. And then, like I mentioned, you always get 2, right? So when you win a national championship, you get the school ring, but then you also get the playoff committee ring. So as you guys can see, I mean, it's virtually the same as the other one. Obviously, just different info on the sides. And then, last but not least, the 2018, my last year SEC championship ring, which is, I mean, you guys can see how big this ring is. I mean, compared to like literally, this is a 2015 national championship ring. It's definitely overkill, man. Definitely overkill, but go big or go home, right? Really like this one, but the size of it kind of kills it. I mean, it literally is, it's kind of pointless, right? I mean, I would never walk out my house like that. It's cool to keep on the desk, though. It looks good in the case. Oh, then it's from high school, but a Under Armour All-American ring. Being named Under Armour All-American. You got a choice of getting one of those. Of course, I opted in on that. Didn't get to win a state championship, so I had to get some type of ring in high school. Dang, we're back already.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're walking a little bit of a tightrope here. Just because, you know, this argument always is going to be a little difficult, you know, because people are going to have different views. But, you know, like I said, we're being as respectful as possible, just offering our thoughts. And again, want to get y'all's thoughts. We got some here in the YouTube chat, so I'll go ahead and read them. I know Tia dropped an app message. She says might be a good topic. We'll get to that here in a second. Dwight says, how can you ask for more money when you don't generate money, but instead you're in the negative? That's bad for business. Like WNBA asking for revenue when theirs are in the negative. So they would have to pay out their money. When he's saying they, I think he's talking about maybe even like NBA. That's kind of what I'm getting at, guys. It's just like, it's hard to justify like that much money being paid out. Again, and I know they work their tails off just as hard as us, and I respect them. Like, don't get me wrong, man. You know, because I was friends with, like, when we were in college, like, before they moved our dining hall to like Mount Moore and being like in the football area, which now other athletes come there too, but they're on the bottom level. Football is on the top. Football has like our own level for our dining hall area. Again, why is that? Well, football's making all the money, right? Well, it used to be our dining hall was like next to Bryant, where we used to live, and everybody like used to eat there. So what I'm getting at is all of us athletes, didn't matter if you're football, basketball, women's soccer, track, rowing, even everybody ate in that dining hall. So we were all close, right? And so what I'm getting at is I know how hard those young ladies work, man. A lot of my friends all were, women student athletes. And so I respect them 100%. But just like, you know, from the business side of things, I'm just not sure if that was going to be justifiable. I'm really curious. I'm going to follow up with this because I'm really curious how they end up playing it out. Let's continue with this article real quick so we make sure we read every part of it, because I don't want to, you know, jump the gun too early. So the last part we read was, they said they can either pay the athletes proportionately or they can return all of their federal funds. They can't do both. Here we go. For now, the court will stay the back damages portion of the settlement, delaying the payments until the appeal is resolved. Wait. So does that mean that, they're going to postpone our payments? Oh God, man. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, man. I wasn't expecting that. Again, I think they said it's over a 10-year period, so it's not really going, it is what it is. But it's just kind of like, dang, man, you hear about like a thing like this and you're like, dang, that'd be exciting. Like, you know, it'd be nice to have, you know, just a random thing that you weren't expecting. And then it's like, you got to wait a little bit longer. But it is what it is, man. I don't mind waiting if it's, you know, for a good reason. Let this be resolved for them 100%. The appeal itself will be filed in the Ninth Circuit. Wilkins said previously that objections related to Title IX did not move her reasoning. The House settlement is an antitrust case, not a gender equity case that has to offer damages and other relief based on the money players could have earned if the rules were different, even if that but-for world wasn't equitable. Wilkin did say in her approval decision, so Wilkin is the judge, by the way, the one that did the approval. However, that athletes were free to sue on Title IX grounds in the future. Outside the settlement, there's no requirement for revenue sharing payments to be equitable. We'll talk about that here in a second. In the waning days of the Biden administration, the Department of Education released guidance suggesting they would consider revenue sharing payments to be subject to Title IX, but the agency reversed the guidance under President Trump. At this point, only a federal judge could force President Trump's Department of Education to change its stand. I thought he abolished the Department of Education, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So here's my deal. So obviously, they talked about even considering making it a Title IX deal with the revenue sharing. The thing is, to me, and like Mike said, it's a slippery slope. I didn't read the rest of what he said, but I just saw that, and I'm like, hell yeah, Mike, it is a slippery. It's a very slippery slope. But it's like you got this is really it mimics the WNBA deal, right? You've got one side of it being like, yes, man, you got people, busting their tail. They're going out there pretty much, they put their shoes on the same way as the others. We respect it. We understand the grind, but the technical side of it, the business side of it, the part that really is the meat and potatoes. It's almost like, let me be careful by saying this. It's almost like the fact-based side versus the emotional side of it. I hate to say it like that, and I know that sounds bad, but please understand what I'm getting at. The fact-based, the reason I say fact-based is the facts are what the money is bringing in. If you don't have the money coming in, where is that money going to come from? Does that make sense? Here we know where it's coming from because you have a settlement taking place. But like the judge said, this settlement is not like a, gender equity based settlement. It's more so based on, the what people missed out on making, right? And they're giving back pay for that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I understand the argument. Like Asia Wilson are people that, like let's say Barker from last season. Like, yeah, I mean, like, now she was in the NIL era, but you get what I'm saying? Like, say somebody like her before, I can't remember who like our star player was when I was in college, but you get what I'm saying? Yeah, I do believe there's an argument that they should make more, but I'll be honest, it's hard for me to speak on that because I don't know. I don't know what their estimate is. If anything, hell, a player like Asia Wilson might have an estimate higher than somebody like me that played football just because she won literally every award. I don't really know exactly what that looks like. So it's hard for me to say, but personally, man, as difficult as this whole deal is, to me, if it doesn't make the money, it doesn't really make sense. And I would love to try to find ways, whether that's, hey, maybe we can try to work as many. And now I'm kind of, segueing a little bit, and let me slow down, but about the whole revenue sharing, because they even talked about that, right? It's hard for me to justify that when we're talking about those sports operating in a negative, because here's the deal. We're talking about revenue sharing, which, again, revenue sharing, it's literally that, like you're sharing revenue, right? It only makes sense you're sharing that revenue with the people that are really bringing in that revenue, respectfully. But two, one thing we haven't been talking about, guys, is think about the resources, right? We can't lose sight of that. Like, you know how much money Alabama spends? The reason we operate in a negative, even though we made good money, is because Alabama, especially a place like here, spends so much money on the resources for these student athletes. That's a fact. I know that from personal experience. I know it from I'm like, Bree, who takes over for nutrition. I mean, like, she's literally the head nutritionist. I've got friends that literally I went to school with. I'm really close. Like, I understand how much these people invest into these student athletes, not just football, all of them. So while it might not, be realistic to distribute like a revenue sharing thing evenly, with gender equity factored in there, only because of the technical side of things, we can't forget that. I mean, the resources that are provided to every student athlete is still second to none, man. So it's just something to consider, right? Let's read it. We got some more responses now. So I want to go back to you guys and read this. We heard from Dwight. He was definitely kind of, leaning towards what I've been saying with like the WNBA thing. Q says, when I outperform my coworker, I get paid more. Once I become bilingual, more money. So kind of more, performance-based, what's bringing in more money out. I hear what you're saying. Mike says it's a slippery slope. If you take money away from football, you don't get good players. Your record goes down. You don't have that extra money to allocate what little they are. Getting will go away. Might have been a typo there, but And that's the other thing. It's a good point, Mike. Think about this, guys. You get out what you put in. Just like Mike's saying. If you have a place that says, "Hell, we want to do it," the gender equity based model, you're putting less resources into football. Your team's not performing as well. What happens when your team's not performing as well? You're not making money. So now you're putting yourself behind. So you're having poor performance. You're having poor revenue results. And it kind of turns into a whole everybody's because then everybody's suffering then. That's why I'm like, even like when I always well, I never really talked about it, but I always thought about the WNBA model. It's like, while it might not necessarily be realistic to say, hey, just automatically they deserve to get paid what the NBA is getting paid, when you're talking about, I don't even have the numbers. If I look it up, I mean, it's the difference is insane. Maybe we could find other ways, other ways to bring in more money, then use that to pay them more, right? That's what I'm saying. Even with this model, maybe we can find ways to get them as many NIL deals as possible, because that's still legal and that's still active, to try to compensate or make up for maybe what they might be lacking with the revenue sharing. But the thing is, and this might sound harsh, but I mean, we're at a point in time where there's going to be some decisions being made. And I'll be honest, unfortunately, and this might sound really harsh, but we're getting to a point where we even got to cross our fingers that some of these sports will still be active, because I just mentioned football, just like someone said in here, I saw, like, it's a cash cow, man. That's going to take precedent over a lot. Tia says, this is what I was saying about even with Bama male hoops versus Bama football. Yeah, Bama hoops has been winning more over the last 3 years, or last 3 seasons. But if football wants something, they're getting it over hoops. Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. What I was saying about the men's basketball thing, and this is another thing to think about. What about a school like Gonzaga or any of these small schools that have they always have really good basketball programs? Think about how that's going to look, because we're going to be allocating at least 70% into football. So say 70% of 20.5, I would say, is around like 15. So let's do 20. We'll just do 2 million to make it easy, times 0.7. So 14, or excuse me, 1.4 million. Or no, 14 million. Sorry. I forgot a zero. So 14 million. So that means you got 6 million left over for the rest of the sports. Obviously, all of that can't go to basketball. But so we'll just say, maybe you say, 3.5 that goes to men's basketball. But then you have a school like Gonzaga, who do they even have a football team? Even if they do, it's going to be flipped. They'll probably say, hey, we're going to give 70% to our basketball team. So that basketball team roster is comprised of a roster that costs about 14 million versus our men's basketball roster that costs 3.5 million. That's the next thing I'm trying to get answered. I've been asking around, like, how does that look? Maybe we need to get Nate Oates on the show and ask him. I know, I don't know if Ryan asked Greg Byrne that, but that is something that's been burning, in my head. Like, how is that going? Anyway, excuse me. Let's see. Football is the cash cow. T. Smitty says football is the cash cow. Duke and UNC are basketball royalty, but their respective football programs generated more revenue than basketball. Yeah, man. Football is what it is. Football brings in the money, man. Like, again, I wish there was ways that we could find. I wish there's ways we could come up with things to let everybody eat the same. But it's just like business in real life. I mean, like, it's just the people that are producing they're going to be compensated accordingly, man. So that's my thought on it. Chase, I know you're a great man, and I know that I remember we asked you one thing about the whole recruiting thing. You see, your morals. I know this might be kind of a tough topic for you to jump in on, but I'm really curious, and I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't feel comfortable answering, trust me, I'm over here like, oh man, I pray nobody tries to cancel me, because I promise I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. Do you have any thoughts on this? Do you understand, or do you? I don't want to. Let me just let you answer. Do you have any thoughts on this from your perspective, with like whether it's the revenue sharing part of it, like the gender equity based, or even just like the back pay? Do you have any thoughts you want to add? If not, don't worry. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No. You're all good. I appreciate you for giving me the floor. It is unfortunate, in terms of, equality for women because they put so much in, that we don't see, especially for athletics where you're right. They're not really generating a lot of money. Like the fact that Don Staley, one of the most coveted basketball coaches in history, is losing money, but she's winning on the court. She's always on ESPN doing extras and everything. It's just an anomaly that I don't know if it can be fixed unless we do a whole shakeup with the NCAA and how that works. And then I guess it kind of piggybacks to how the WNBA and the NBA is. The WNBA is starting to pick up steam, really get traction from a lot of people that I wouldn't even have seen talked about it, but they're always up this mountain when it comes to the NBA because the NBA is generating so much money. Even like with the finals, Christian, like two teams that two small market teams like the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, like they don't really make a lot of money, but they're still generating money for the finals and they're still making money for the players and organizations tied to it. But if you look at last year with the WNBA finals, I think it was the Liberty and the Lynx, I believe, like they didn't really make a lot of money, and that's sad. But and you're right, it is a business world. It's not fair, but it's facts. But I do pray by the time, like maybe we get older, Christian. But hopefully things change because women deserve the money. They've worked too entirely hard to get told no, and I feel like their contributions to the sport as a whole, not just basketball, not just volleyball, but so much others that we don't see. I feel like they need to be replicated for that,
No doubt about it. No, I think you said it perfectly. We know historically, I mean, it's always been an uphill climb for women, right? And that's why it's unfortunate. It hurts, you know what I mean? Like that we're having, these discussions and we're trying to find ways, but that's the reality is though, when you don't have money to dish out, you have to find ways to get that money to pay them, right? It doesn't just money just doesn't come out of nowhere, and that's the biggest issue here. I've got pulled up the comparisons between the NBA and the WNBA, and these numbers, Chase, are going to, blow your mind. I mean, it's that big of a difference. We got to hit this top of the hour break because I know we combined them. When we come back, I'm going to share those numbers with you guys. And again, I know it's a little bit different of a, I wouldn't say apples to orange. It's not apples to apples, but it's not apples to oranges. I mean, it's pretty similar. So we're going to look at that. And I think when you guys see these numbers, it probably is going to make a lot of sense, right? And again, I know this is professional. I know it's a different league, but it'll probably give you an idea on comparing, a sport like men's football to, maybe women's basketball with the numbers there. I'll try to pull those up as well to be more accurate. But I'm just going to say, Chase, it's going to be hard to really argue that point for them. But we're going to try to find ways if we can, Chase, right, to get them paid one way or another. All right, we got to hit this top of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to keep this discussion going. Plus, we got a couple other things. Still got to get to our SEC tiers list if we got some good time. But we'll do that when we get a moment right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. We'll be right back. Carson, what's going on? You just came in at a perfect time, man. We've got a we're walking a little bit of a tightrope here, man. A little bit of a slippery slope we got going on. Just to fill you in, if you missed it, long story short, we're discussing the first lawsuit that we've seen. I'll share real quick over here. You can see it. Group of 8 women filed an appeal for the House versus NCAA settlement approval. But it's more tailored towards the back pay portion, right? So what we talked about with, people like me that were fortunate enough to be in that window, that are expected to be, compensated some back pay. Well, this is what it's coming from. They feel that there's like $1.1 billion being deprived from women that, played during that time. So we've been discussing, is there a basis for it? Meaning, you look at the football revenue versus, the women's sports, unfortunately them being on the negative side of things. We've been discussing, basically, how is this going to look for them in terms of their argument that they feel like There should be about $1.1 billion of that 2.8 allocated to the women's athletes. Just a quick, recap of what I was saying. I was friends with a whole bunch of, women's athletes throughout college, and I know how hard they work. I know how talented they are, and everything that they do. I mean, pretty much doing everything that we do: the workouts, the going to class, tutoring, and it's just not tough traveling. And I respect the hell out of them, but I also know on the other side of things, the technical side, that when they're operating in a negative and you're maybe comparing to what they might have missed out, meaning like the reality is the marketability of a football player at the University of Alabama is going to be night and day's difference than, a member of the women's soccer team here. And I say that with the most respect possible. I'm just speaking on the technical side of things. There would be, I'm sure, plenty of kids and people that would love to, they do it now, autograph sessions, stuff like that. But the reality is the attention that football gets, the money it brings in from the media side of things, the marketing, media deals. I mean, it's hard to even compare it. So that's where we're at, Carson. So that's what you missed, man. That's how you know I like you, Carson, man. I gave you a whole rundown on what we've been talking about so far. Carson, my guy, man. He's always hopping on here and chopping it up with us. Hey, real quick, guys, I'm going to run in the restroom real fast.
Construction at 205-752.
I'm going to be right back, and we're going to dive into this when we come back.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow trucks, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Have you tried hands-free Skechers slip-ins yet? Because if you haven't, you're missing out on technology that changes how you think about shoes. First, these are not just regular slip-on shoes. They're not just a pair of loafers without laces. But what makes them different is the technology inside that lets you just step into them. There's a built-in hidden shoehorn that slides your foot in, so they look, feel, and wear just like a pair of shoes you're used to. Except you don't have to bend down, struggle to put them on, or touch them. Try them at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
In a world full of impressions, clicks, and empty promises, your trades business needs more than marketing. At Ignite Home Services, we fuel the trades.
If you're grinding every day but stuck on a plateau, Ignite Home Services is your secret lead generation weapon.
We're not just a marketing company. We are the lead generation experts for the trades. HVAC, plumbing, roofing, you name it. We run hundreds of campaigns built.
Sorry to get a quick snack while I was back there. All right. Yeah, Carson, you can read. So we read the article from Front Office Sports here because Amanda Kristovich, the young woman that wrote it, joined Gary Harris's show before we got on air. So it's right here. If you want to go check it out, we just read through it. and that's where we were getting our info from. And it wasn't like a whole 100 point like specific details, just kind of explain that there's like 8 women, and they're targeting the back pay, about $1.1 billion of it.
Tomorrow, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, scattered showers and storms
yeah,
around.
you can check it out over there, man.
The high 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on
It's
Tide
gonna be hard to make legitimate
100.9.
evidence.
It's 84 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, we are presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Check them out if you guys haven't already, right there in Midtown Village. Really interesting conversation we've been having. Again, walking a little bit of a tightrope. You know, obviously this is always a tough discussion, but we're prepared for it, Chase. Look, we're very respectful. We're very thoughtful, I believe. I feel like we're very fair. And yeah, I think we're good to go, man. I think we'll be all right. But that discussion has been, you've got 8 women that have filed an appeal against the House versus NCAA approval, right? The whole thing we've been talking about, revenue sharing, everything, the back pay, everything that entails. But you have 8 young women that are taking lawsuit action. And basically, to summarize, they feel, I think it was about $1.1 billion of that $2.8 billion was being deprived of women's athletes. And we were basically getting to the discussion. Do we feel like, there's legitimate evidence for that, given the lack of revenue? How does that match up with, all the football guys that were, participating in the sport during that time? It's just hard to really, again, without it being like, again, we went over it, but just to recap, I mean, so much respect to those young ladies that literally, again, are busting their tails and have the same workload that we like. Without a doubt, here's the thing, if there was unlimited money, yeah, man, make everybody, on the same level, right? I mean, we're all deserving, right? But the problem is that's just unfortunately not how the world works. And if there's not money being generated, the unfortunate reality is there's not money to pay them that, right? Now, yeah, they're looking at this settlement of $2.8 billion, but from if you're talking about a gender equity standpoint, yeah, I understand you trying to make it a little more even there, but they came up with that number based on like the missed opportunities from student athletes. And we already are seeing, what football is expected to be compensated, right? I mean, that's just where that's going to come from. So I mentioned before we went to our break, Chase, that I pulled up a good comparison of the NBA versus WNBA revenue, because this feels very reminiscent, right? Now, this is from NBAScorestats.com. So it claims it's an extensive analysis. Let's hope that it's pretty accurate. But even if it's not 100% accurate, I'm sure it's relatively close. So this is what it says. So if you look here at a snapshot, let me zoom in so you guys can see. The left side is the NBA. Revenue, they had the NBA at $10 billion. Average salary, $10.8 million. Average ticket price, $94. Highest paid player, $55.7 million. And then average viewership, which is going to be important. We'll talk about this here in a second. 1.6 million for the playoffs, or regular season, excuse me. Playoffs, 5.47 million. And finals, 11.64 million. And then average attendance, 18,324. Now let's look at the women's. I wish this was big enough to where it would just show both of them. I mean, this monitor is so wide it should, but for whatever reason, this is what it is. All right. For the women's, $200 million in revenue. Average salary, $116,800. Average ticket price, $52. I'm sorry. Highest paid player, $241,984. Average viewership, 505,000 in the regular season, 400,000 during the playoffs, so it goes down. Finals, 728,000. So an average attendance, 9,000. So when you look at this, again, just to recap, if you guys missed it, $10 billion in revenue versus $200 million in revenue. I mean, that's what I was saying, Chase. I mean, like the difference is like not even close, man. I mean, and that's what's interesting. The ticket price, yeah, it's half the price, but still the revenue is not half. Why is that? Why? Well, look at this. We go back to the viewership, man. You're talking about for the finals, 11 million viewers versus 728,000, right? The viewership's not there. The average attendance half. And then clearly the revenue is literally probably almost, what would you say that is, like 50 times less, right? I mean, if I'm doing the math right, 200 million times 50 would make 10 billion. So I mean, I think 50, if I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 50 times less. It unfortunately, it kind of explains itself, man. I hate that it's like that. That's why I'm saying, like, I wish there's ways we could come up, to generate more revenue. But I mean, until you do that, I just don't know how you pay people if you don't have the money. Even like when we talk about this revenue sharing cap at 20 million, you got 105 guys on football. Let me show you guys this, and I promise we're gonna go to the phone lines after this quick timeout. We're gonna take it in a second. In 2024, allegedly, Alabama women's basketball operated at a $4.2 million deficit, in contrast to the basketball program that brought in $21.3 million, resulting in a $6 million surplus. So minus $4 million for women's basketball here at Alabama, plus $6 million for men's basketball. And then if you want to bring football into the equation, we read yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, football was a positive about 26.8 million. So plus 26.8 plus 6 million, then you're looking at minus 4.2 million for the women's basketball team. Unfortunately, the numbers, it's hard to make the numbers make sense when you're trying to be equitable. To me, it almost goes against, like, from a, the gender equity side, I understand, but from a, the technical side, that's not really fair that, the sports are bringing in all that money are taking such a big hit. Like, maybe if you want to share some, sure, or try to bump theirs up, if it really wasn't enough. I'm not against that, but from a technical perspective, man, it's just hard to really justify that. That's just my opinion, with all due respect, and I promise I'm not trying to offend anybody. That being said, Chase, we got like 2 minutes for this next break. Let's hit Tia's app message real fast, and then we're going to go to the phone lines when we come back, if that's cool with you. So what did Tia have to say?
Yeah, Tia said prediction time.
Oh God! Oh no! I don't want to do these predictions, man. I'm not a fan of predictions. I got to do it because we got the show. But all right, what predictions does she want, Chase?
She said it'll be a good topic, so I believe her. she said list your top 3 wide receivers in order in terms of yardage for the season for Alabama football. She said, so this is who would be this. Let me see. This is who you would be numbers 1, 2, and 3 in terms of the most yardage for the season. I'll go first. Number 1 would be Ryan Williams. Number 2 would be Jeremy Bernard, and then number 3 would be Jalen Hill. Excuse me.
Interesting. All right, this isn't bad. This is not a bad prediction game. I feel like it's kind of easy for me. I'm going to go number 1, Ryan Williams. Clearly, number 2, I feel like it's a toss up. I would substitute Horton with Hale, but which one goes where? I mean, Jeremy led the team in yards last year, man. I'm just going to stick with that. I'm going to go number 1, Ryan Williams, number 2, Jeremy Bernard, and number 3, Isaiah Horton. And I think it'll be real close. And who knows, man? I mean, I really think at least 2 and 3 would be a toss-up. I fully expect Ryan to be the lead guy, though, going into year 2. But that is a good question. You guys want to chime in on that? Let us know. Top 3 receivers this upcoming season in terms of yards. Not touchdowns, but yards. Tia had Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard. She snuck in Jalen Hale. Carson agrees with it. He said he likes that. It's sneaky. I had the same Ryan, Jeremy, but then I swapped Hale with Horton. So Let me know what you guys think. That is a good question. We can definitely segue into that for sure after we get these phone calls. So we'll do that after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
At Tuscaloosa Mazda, they are expanding their showroom to serve you better. Come see their new and pre-owned Mazda lineup, offering fuel efficiency, advanced technology, and plush comfort. Tuscaloosa Mazda, 3100 Skyland Boulevard East, or online at TuscaloosaMazda.com.
Oh man, I didn't think I didn't realize that whole thing would carry us a whole hour into the show, man. But here we are. Really interesting topic for sure. Yeah, that was definitely, really good. A good topic though. It's a good topic. Hopefully I'm not getting canceled right now. I felt like I was very fair and respectful with my thought on it, man. But wait, did Tia respond to that? Oh yeah, well she brought up I was surprised. I thought Tia was going to give me some pushback. Did you see the video the Crimson Tide YouTube channel posted on the D-line? I saw like a preview for oh, thanks, Chase. I saw a preview for something. I thought, was that what that was? I just saw, I think, like Damani Jackson. I think we got like the best D-line in the country or something like that. Let me see. Let's pull it up. Carson's like our our male version of Tia. We got Tia who drops like all like that gives us all the
You haven't, you're missing
good
out on
intel
technology.
or things to tap into. And now we got Carson. Carson's like on the let me be careful with the male and female thing right now. I don't want to Carson's like our other guy to do it though. It's funny. Carson's always giving us some good stuff. All right, let's see. Let's see what they posted. Is it like a documentary? I thought that was oh, the Bama Standard episode 2. Oh, it's just a 4-minute thing. I thought it was like some long podcast thing. Oh yeah, we're going to tap into that.
Strongest Steel, a specialty manufacturing firm with expertise in structural.
Hell yes. Now we got Tia and Carson on our like imaginary payroll, man. They always bring us some good stuff. Hey, there we go. You type in Alabama Crimson Tide, Miller's Edge is popping up number 3, man. Maybe that's just for me. I don't know. If you guys haven't, man, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and share it. If you guys got anybody you think
construction at 2
would enjoy the show, man. We're definitely going to keep doing some more stuff. I saw so I forgot to respond. Joey, man, good to see you guys back on YouTube. Yeah, man, we're back in the swing of it, man. Should have just stayed on here, but been busy and had a lot of stuff come up. But yeah, man, glad to be back. So it's fun hopping on here. I enjoy it, man. I really do.
On the ABC 30-40 weather.
And just if you're not aware, so basically we're just doing our live radio show on here too. It's streaming this at the same time. But we will get back to doing like post stuff as well. And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Support Experts. All right, we're about to go to the phone lines now. But before we do that, so Carson just put us on a video we're going to watch here in a minute. Basically, it's the new series with you guys. I'm sure you probably have seen it. If he's mentioning it, I know you guys are definitely tapped in, but the Bama Standard, I guess it's a new series. I didn't realize these things are like 4-minute videos. We'll watch those here in a minute when we get some time. But yeah, Dwight's new series. All right, yeah, we'll tap into that. That'd be fun to watch. D-Line was the most recent episode, so I'm really curious about it. We've been talking a lot about them. So we'll get some little intel on those directly from the source. All right, phone lines we go, Chase, 205-342-9904. Pat's up first, man. Pat, I'm hearing we got some good recruiting news coming today. Have you heard that?
Well, hey, Man, elephant emojis.
That's what I'm hearing, Pat. What does that mean? I mean, you're our recruiting guru here on the Miller's Edge, Pat. What's that mean, Pat? Who is it?
We are going to stay in the very quiet mode and pray that it comes through. That instead of, hey, we don't want to jinx things. Hey, what I want to talk about though is a footprint of the SEC now moving large teams from point A to point B, Oklahoma to South Carolina, Texas to down to the swamp. I mean, hey, we're talking major bucks, and you start moving. Are you going to have to limit how many people are traveling with softball in order to keep these costs down? That what are you going to have to do is what my question is. That are you going to have to take them and instead of traveling 22, that you're going to travel 16, 15, maybe 15, and then 3 coaches, 18 total. What are you going to do to start to get these costs down? Because you can't keep losing $3.5+ million, maybe $4 million in softball or anything else.
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. They're going to take measures. What those look like, I don't know. But here's the reality of it. If you want to keep these sports around, which I know Title IX is going to help protect them, and rightfully so, man. I mean, the last thing you want to do is see sports leave. But that's going to be a real thing that other schools are going to have to consider, and maybe move them to club sports. I don't know, but it's going to be tough.
In the last 2 weeks, people, whether they like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump, I personally think he's not. He doesn't think before he talks, and he needs to have people around him that are smart.
Yeah.
But some things he's doing is good, and one thing he just did, and he ain't getting credit for it. He just signed a deal that women are going to be equitable too. There was something he just signed about. He saved. I think he personally saved women's sports because of the deal that with the way things are split up with this lawsuit. Anyway. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about is that moving these big teams, we've got to start doing some things to cut down on this roster. And there's going to be roster size. People don't realize this thing is going to cost non-revenue sports a tremendous amount. And I don't doubt that football, that you don't have that you're going to travel. And I know the SEC does have rules about we only travel 80, 78, 80 people or so or less. What's the rule on it? You know it all.
I don't know the specific numbers, but it definitely there's a limit on it. Because I know like a lot of us red shirts and walk-ons never traveled like my first year. I don't know the specific numbers, but you're right that there is a cap.
Yeah, and but I look for that to like I said, those numbers may get tighter too as they're figuring out how to cut pennies. Because it's going to get down to cutting pennies in order to make all this stuff fly right. And that what I said yesterday, I came up with. I don't doubt that we don't start charging. Anybody says, I know this, that when my boys were students at Alabama, I would have gladly paid for, if I could have checked when they signed in to registration each semester. If I could have signed in and checked $50 for football and $50 for basketball, and not had to worry about getting them a ticket, I'd have been pleased as punch. And I think the majority of other people too that didn't have to wait in line, and I knew they were going to get a ticket, pleased as punch.
Yeah.
To pay that money. And what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are willing to put stuff into things they care a lot about. And I know a lot of people care about Alabama sports, not just football, but all of them. And it was just making me think a second ago too, Pat, that, we were talking about the whole, the women's side of things. Like, obviously the revenue share is going to look different for them because they're unfortunately not bringing in that money. But, maybe you have the people that are, big into Alabama, the women's softball or women's basketball, who have businesses or other opportunities to try to find as many NIL deals as possible for those young ladies. That way it can help kind of bring up the money that they are making, since they probably won't be, it's not going to be nearly as much as, some of the other, sports like football or men's basketball. So I think, anytime somebody's passionate about something, they typically are willing to invest in it. So hopefully we see that being the case with some of these new changes and people, willing to adjust and being okay with maybe paying a little bit more here and there, because unfortunately that's probably going to be a part of it.
Well, Livy was an outlier, over $6 million last year in NIL. She was a professional at NIL.
Gymnast?
You know who Livy is. Yes. She's absolute professional.
Yeah, but that's a really good example you bring up, because what's going to be different now is with the new model, she would still make a lot of money, but she would probably make a decent amount. No, because I don't think the collective was paying her like that. She just was making that money from it. So you're actually right. She is a good example. She might not have got much from the revenue sharing side of things, but since she was able to market herself outside of it, she made herself a whole hell of a lot of money.
Cover of Sports Illustrated.
I couldn't tell you, but she's probably getting paid a lot if she was able to make $6 million. She was literally one of the top earners in college. And what's crazy is that was legit from like real NIL deals. From what I've heard, she wasn't like the best gymnast on their roster. They weren't paying her a whole hell of a lot of money to be there. She was making that money on her own, which is very impressive.
Yes. Hey, being Keaton Blonde's hard to beat. But, hey, Christian, you have a blessed day, and but we got to get this thing figured out. But we're gonna I'm gonna make you a statement right now. Before September 1, Alabama will be in the top 3 of recruiting in football.
Do you know where they're at right now? I'm just curious where the rank.
Well, we way down the list. We got 6 or 7 on but if these things get with what I see coming down the pike, that if this comes to fruition, oh my goodness, the rest of college football are going to go berserk. You hear me? Because they said it couldn't be done, and that Captain Morgan and what Coach DeBoer's doing looks to be an amazing thing. Am I right?
Look, I tip my hat to them, man. And look, I let me be clear. I wasn't one of the ones that said, "Oh, they can't do it." I did say I have questions on how it's going to look, because I just know it is going to be a different process, right? I mean, I know how Coach Saban was able to recruit. I experienced that, but you got a coach that was the first time in the SEC, a little different around here. That is true. So those points were valid, but I was like, all right, let's see who he brings around him. That's always important, because that's important with any coach. Doesn't matter who it is, right, or where they're from. You got to have the right people around. You can't just have one. It's not the head coach doing everything and recruiting. People don't only. Nick Saban was like one of the outliers where he probably was 80% of the reason people would go to the school, but they still have to have a position coach there that they feel comfortable with. They still have to have the resources there. I mean, I'd argue that if you put Coach Saban at Tulane, respectfully, they don't have the resources that Alabama has. Yeah, he still would get recruits, but some people might say, well, they don't have the same. Alabama has all that stuff already. So really, the person who was taking over for Coach Saban, you're basically sitting on a whole gold mine and saying, hey, this is our weight room. This is all the stuff that we have. You know what I mean? With that being said, I'm really impressed with their ability to bring everybody together, the old people with the new people, continue a lot of the traditions that they've been having. And, man, they've been knocking it out of the park. I was I was up there last week with them and watching them, do their whole process. They do a really good job.
Yeah. Hey, well, let me let you go with this. 2 5-star safeties and 2 quarterbacks in this class. Oh, Pat just made a big, bold prediction. Yeah. 2 5-star safeties and 2 quarterbacks in this class. And, hey, and we'll let you go with that. I love you to death, man. You had a great show. Have a good one.
Oh, appreciate you. All love, Pat. Always, man. You know that. Appreciate you, my man. All right. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. All right, Chase. I like that song. That's pretty smooth right there. All right. Let's see. chat's picking up a little bit. Dwight says, sorry to say, but a pretty face sells. If pretty face sells, I mean, you're not lying, man. I mean, it's kind of, part of it. But, that was actually a good example because at first I was like, well, then I realized she wasn't getting paid from their collective like that. That was all the money she was bringing in. So, I mean, Angel Reese, a lot of those, athletes like that, I mean, they're able to bring in so much money on the NIL side of things. And the reality is, I mean, that's the most realistic option for, trying to get these young women paid as much as possible is taking that route, just because the revenue side of things, I mean, it's just it's revenue sharing, and the revenue is going to be shared with the people bringing in the most money. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the technical part of it. Ask Pat what we're going to finish with, since he can see down the pipe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Carson mentioned recruiting was picking up, and then I keep seeing like people tweet elephant. So, excuse me. Normally those are like bat signals, right? I wish I was more vetted on recruiting right now, guys. But I don't know who is who or who's ranked what. I don't even know where we're ranked right now. I mean, I'll pay more attention to it when it comes down to it. But wait, Carson said we're like in the 30s. Not many commits yet, but it's coming. We're about to feast. Hold on, we're in the 30s, bro. Whoa. I mean, I know we're way early for that, but I'm like, damn. I was thinking we were at least, the way people have been talking about recruiting, I thought we were at least up there. Are we really in the 30s? We must just not have any commits. We must be like just a little dry right now. It's not worth it, Christians. Watch film, close to sign day. That listen, I'm gonna put y'all on game. That's what I do anyways. I'll be honest with you, man. I've never 6 months out been watching high school tape, man. Unless you guys tell me to, hey, go watch this guy. We want you to, we want your thoughts on somebody. I'll do that for you. Respectfully, I'm not taking the time to go watch high schoolers, man. Like, I just unless it's close to, like, they're commits and we're about to sign them and I need to talk about them, I definitely would do that. Oh, okay, we're ranked number 9 right now. I was about to say, I thought it was a little bit more like in the top 10 range. Jet Washington and Jaire Edwards. So Jet Washington is Kobe's nephew, right? Now, I did look him up. Somebody told me a 6'5" safety and Kobe's nephew. I looked him up. The other guy, is that a linebacker? Maybe.
You name it. We run.
Christian, please help the Tide make Red Morgan into a pass rusher with quarterback destroyer / quarterback destroyer coming from that secondary. Disguise him up. Whoa.
And yes, we partner with Google.
We're tech-driven, human-led, ROI obsessed.
That's gonna be up to Kane Womack, sending him on some pressure packages. The pass rush stuff I would teach him, man. I mean, I could teach him some solid dip type stuff, but he's a little too small to be working what I would.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back in to the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. That's how you know I'm getting comfortable, Chase. I mean, I'm just like leaning in the chair and stuff, talking, and I feel like I'm just like chatting with you guys in like a barbershop. Speaking of a barbershop, man, my brother had stopped by the barbershop yesterday. We were coming from lunch with my dad, and dude, number one, did a phenomenal job. I know you're probably looking like, Christian, you don't look like you got. I didn't get a haircut, man. I was just chilling. But when I tell you, Chase, barbershops, man, I feel like cuts, number one, they do get more expensive. 2, they take long. Dude, we were at the barbershop, I swear, for like 2 hours, bro. And my brother was getting a beard lineup. Same with my dad. I mean, they don't really have the hair. They got the beard, right? Chase, when I tell you we were there for like 2 hours, and like I'm all for, somebody taking their time, because you got a lot of people that just try to rush cuts and stuff, try to get as many heads. But so I respected, young Hispanic dude. He did a great job on their beards. But I was like, golly, man, haircuts take forever. I'm like, bro, they only had no hair to cut. I mean, it's just a beard. I'm like, it's a shave and a beard. I'm like, how? Like, dude, he must have literally been like getting every fine little hair on their beard, man. But he did great, man. Shout out to that dude. I'm not too sure his name. I feel bad. I didn't get a cut. But anyway, let's go back to the phone lines. 205-342-9904. We got George up next. George, welcome in. George, you there? Going once, twice, sold. All right, George, if you want to circle back, feel free. You already know the drill. Let's go back to this chat real quick. We're going to dive in, since I think we're free on the phone lines. If anybody wants to hop on now, you'd be first in line. 205-342-9904. In the meantime, we're going to go to some of the videos that we had set. But TSS, all right, we've come to the conclusion. On 3, we're about 9th in terms of recruiting, but allegedly we've got three elephants being lined up or something like that. Who is it? I saw that Courtney Morgan tweeted an elephant. Who all was tweeting elephant, guys? Who all was tweeting elephants? Or is it one of the recruiting guys that posted something? Carson's on a work call. Oh, no worries, bro. No worries. Or did the Hayes guy say something? I don't know. Allegedly, people think it's going to be a big day right now. So we'll find out. I'm sure we'll get some news here in a little bit. Okay, Carson said he saw something from Hayes Fawcett. I'll pull that up. But anyway, we'll go to this video that you mentioned, Carson, because it looks interesting. But, guys, we haven't watched the receiver one yet. That's only like 3 minutes. Should we start there? Should we watch the receiver one first, then go to D-line, since we haven't seen it? I say we do that, since Tia asked that question. So let's do that. We'll start with episode 1, right? Probably going to get copyrighted for this, but who cares, guys? We're doing it for you guys. We're doing it for the Miller's Edge family. Okay, Hayes tweeted 3 elephants, and Courtney Morgan tweeted 1. All right, we'll see how many elephants we get today. All right, that being said, the Bama Standard, the new mini-series on the Alabama Crimson Tide YouTube page, episode 1. Let's check it out. This consists of the wide receivers.
Snap going to Milroe. Looking deep downfield. Looking for Williams. Comes back, makes the catch. Trying to split defenders. Makes them bang into each other. Stays on his feet. Breaks a tackle. Scores! Scores! Scores!
I remember we busted the play. We did something that we weren't supposed to. But like coaches always say, both of y'all wrong, y'all right. And I just remember lining up. And I was like, if you're going to make a play, you better make it now. Once I made the catch, I was like, I'm not getting tackled right here. Like, there's no way I get tackled right here.
When the ball's in the air, I have no doubt that he's going to make the play. And, that's what he did. And he just let his God-gifted abilities take over after that.
I blinked, and somehow I was in the end zone, and then I was just dancing. Yeah, it was just a surreal moment. And just looking around and seeing the crowd. I wish I would have kept the football, but, it is what it is.
Hey, what we saying? Pressure make diamonds, baby.
Wait. He said, I wish I would have kept the football. They can keep footballs now? Bro, we're playing the NFL now. That man said, I wish I would have kept the football. Bro, since when can you keep college footballs? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe that's one with us. I don't know. That's crazy. That's cool if they can, though.
You better hit somebody in their mouth. Shut the door. You want to see them get up on their feet? It's this group, because we takers.
Bernard, catch me! Touchdown, Alabama! Firing deep. He's got a man. Touchdown, Alabama. The deuce got loose.
Takers. Coach Shep, he likes to call us takers, man, because, that's what we do when the ball's in the air. It's ours.
We go take it. It could be in blocking, too. Taking on that block for your guy just because, you want your guy to have the best opportunity and you got to take on your responsibility.
If you have explosive plays, it's going to help you during the game.
Today you must give. Give everything that you have for the Alabama football family, period.
Playing for Coach Shep is super authentic, knowing that I'm playing for a guy that wakes up and doesn't need coffee and has the juice that he has every single day, day in and day out. It's contagious.
Coach Shep, He just brings great energy every day. He coaches you to the highest level. He's gonna get everything out of you.
We rep it. Takers. We rep it. Ooh. Boom. Now let's go.
Explosive. I think that's a great word to describe our guys. Any of them with the ball in their hand can go score.
Taking a shot to the end zone. It's caught. Rico Scott.
We have a lot of secret gems. Some guys on offense like a Jalen Hill.
During the spring, the freshmen really showed that they can come in and they can have an impact. So we just got to keep being there for those guys and coaching them up to make sure that they're ready when time comes.
I think Germ, he's just a overall technician, right? He's going to come in and out of them breaks and make a great catch on the ball. Ryan's fast. He's going to push it down the field with him. Just like our whole receiving corps is pretty much dominant.
A lot of the wide receivers I sit next to, Ryan's to my left and Germ's to my right. So we always talk football and things that they do to get open. We just share all the information we take from their coaches, my coaches, so we all use it together and get better.
With the offense that we have and the players that we have, man, it's going to be really explosive.
The Bama standard, for me, winning. I mean, any means necessary, you have to win.
Pride, discipline, commitment, toughness. I was able to come here and wear the script A, and that really means something across the nation. And, I just want to be able to withhold that standard.
I would definitely say our goal for the season is winning a national championship. Nothing shy. I feel like everybody's bought into that.
Most importantly, just take one game at a time, prepare how you're supposed to, never take any opponent lightly, and just not take the game for granted.
That was good. I thought that was pretty smooth, man. So that was episode 1. That obviously featured the wide receivers. The newest one is the defensive line. I guess we got time to jump into that. Should we respond real quick, Chase? I don't know if anything really stood out to you that's worth breaking it down. I mean, obviously it's a great video. I was joking around about the whole keeping the football thing. I think Dwight said no. He said could, not would. I thought he said, I wish I would have kept the football. Again, he probably just talking, but I was like, dang, I didn't know they could do that. But the taker thing, that's pretty smooth. And we've heard that a while now, right? I think they mentioned that like last year when they first got here, the whole taker thing for the receiver position. But I'm excited about that group, man. I think they'll be solid. Tia says, funny, true story. I remember one of the receivers told me Smitty sent a message to Wiggins and told the receiver room to stop calling themselves rideouts because they weren't riding anywhere. Well, I mean, fair. I mean, only other thing I was going to bring that some people have been saying recently, like the past couple of years, like we're tired of hearing about the Bama standard. Is that still a thing? You guys kind of feeling like that? Like you don't really want to hear the talk about it anymore. You just want to actually see it. You know what I mean? I'll say from a former player's perspective, like I get it. I mean, that's the term, right? The Bama standard, we all know. Does it feel a little bit different now that things are a little bit different? If I'm being completely honest with you, it does feel a little bit different. Like hearing, like, as a former player, like obviously we know what that Bama standard is. We know what it consists of. We know we obviously want to see it. But if I'm being completely honest and transparent, like I feel like I've heard it so much the last few years and it's been a little bit morphed and we haven't seen it consistently where it's almost like, I'm not saying they should come up with something different because the Bama standard is literally like it's like a set in place kind of deal. But it also was very much like, I don't know, man. It just feels a little bit different. I'm not saying they shouldn't be preaching about it, but it just feels different. If I'm just being completely honest with you, it feels a little bit different nowadays. Tia says, I like them to talk about it because they know it's there. Yeah, so like from that side of things, I definitely I want them to necessarily like have that in their mind. Like that should be like what they're reaching for. Like that should be the goal, like to play to that. But it just, I don't know, man. It just feels a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like I think it's over time. Like I mean, like Coach Saban's not here anymore. I mean, like just to be honest with you, I don't think we've necessarily lived up to it over the last few years, even while Coach Saban was here. That's just a fact. I don't mean to sound harsh, but I think you guys would agree with me. Like what we've seen over the last, I'll just go back to really 2022, just hadn't really felt like that same authentic Bama standard. It felt more like we were just riding on the name of it itself. We hadn't really seen it. So now you talk about even Coach Saban being gone, it just feels a little bit different. But I love that they're still trying to uphold that. But I think the biggest thing for me is like, let's go out there and let's have you guys do it, and let's make sure you guys really know and understand what it really is. I mean, it's hard for people to preach. I used to say this all the time, even when we had when Coach Saban was here, but there was other staff members. I'm like, respectfully, like, how are those guys supposed to uphold the Bama standard when they themselves don't necessarily know what it really is? You know what I mean? Like how do you go hire a coach that wasn't really here with you to really understand the Bama standard, but he's over here preaching it to them and he's talking. Yeah, he can hear from Coach Saban what it is, but does he truly have the experience of what it is? That's why I think it's just so important. So important to still have guys like Denzel, Chap, those guys around, because they are the Bama standard, literally. And they do a good job. And now that I bring that point up, I know they do a good job of really trying to enforce that, explain that, and really let these guys know what that truly means. So that being said, Chase, let's go ahead and hit this timeout. And then when we come back, we've got Ellis on the phone lines. We got the D-line video. We'll try to squeeze all that stuff in there together and wrap things up right here on the Miller's Edge after this quick timeout. But again, we got one more segment to go. Don't go anywhere. We're going to watch that episode 2 real quick, hear from Ellis, and keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. We'll be right back. Dang, that was that kind of West Coast kind of vibe right there, Chase. All the restroom breaks, Christian seems older than me. What? Q, I went to the bathroom like one time. What are you talking about? I mean, dude, when you go to the gym every day and you drink this thing like 24/7, man, you got to go. I mean, I think one time in 2 hours, brother, it's pretty normal. Maybe I'm wrong. Bama 2025 says facts. They have no clue. Yeah, I mean, outside of obviously the guys I just mentioned, they do a good job. Like it's like Chap, Denzel, and those guys. They do a really good job. And I don't mean to seem like I'm being harsh with them. I'm just being completely honest. As somebody like a former player, like I just feel like over the last few years, and I'm not just saying anything about just because Coach Boris here. No, I'm saying even back to 2022. It felt like it was slowly creeping away. And if I'm being honest with you, I've always said this is nothing new. I truly felt it started slipping away when we had so much coaching turnover. And to the point I just made, you're bringing in new people that weren't necessarily here. Again, it's hard for somebody to preach something that they themselves don't really have that true understanding. It's not necessarily their fault either. But that's just how it felt to me. Not to mention, like for instance, like when I got here, I mean, I was playing with guys like Christian Jones, Amari Cooper, Ari Kwanjo, Ryan Kelly, Derrick Henry, right? Who's a little bit younger, but you see what I'm saying? It was like it was passed on and passed on and passed on. But then I feel like you got to remember this too, guys. We started recruiting all this talent, right? Some of those guys would come here and just expect, like, all right, we're just going to automatically pick up, where we left off just because we've got good players. But what happens is when you're recruiting that, you know what I mean? Like you're getting a different type of mentality sometimes. And I felt like probably towards like my last year or so, and then even after that, even the mentality of like the players we were bringing in, we were just bringing in the top talent. Sometimes what comes with that is not the same. I'm not saying guys don't work as hard, but the mentality is a little bit different. If you guys know what I mean, the hunger, just that mindset of really like going and getting it versus, hey, like I'm the best of the best already coming out of high school. Though it was harder what I'm getting at is sometimes it was harder to really preach that standard to those guys because they were already so used to just being the guy that they didn't necessarily understand like the work that went into really being the best. Austin, what's going on, bro? He says, hey, Chris, not sure if you addressed this yet, but what do you think about Justice Haynes comparing Michigan head coach Jerome Moore to a young Nick Saban? Man,
800.
I hate that we don't have much
Young?
time. That's a great point. I bookmarked that. I saw the report from Pete Nakos, I think. Yeah, I bookmarked that, and I was gonna hit on that, bro. We got so
AC and heating solutions.
we got so into the lawsuit thing that's taking place with the 8 young women that, man, that took about an hour. So we'll hit it tomorrow. But my initial thoughts, I didn't read the article, but I see he says he's going to kick it with you. He's going to have fun with you, but then it is also a time to be serious and a time to be disciplined.
Point 9.
Just from that quote, I'll give you a quick answer, Austin. I don't know if you just think just because he's, serious and disciplined at times, and he's similar to Coach Saban, I feel like then you probably have 50 other Coach Saban in college football. This is what I'm talking about, this new generation.
It's 87 degrees.
That I don't compare you to Nick Saban. There has to be more to it.
That is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. Real quick, check out our friends over at R&R Cigars if you're in the market for the best cigars, the best humidor in the Southeast, not to mention Father's Day coming up. If you guys are looking for a good gift, you got to check out R&R Cigars. They've got the bundles on their website. Again, you can literally mix and match 20 cigars or more, and you get that great deal of 20% off. Plus, you can always get $100 or more of an order, get you free shipping. So you don't want to miss out on these deals. And I think best of all, Chase, I don't know if you've been there yet, but the mansion is incredible. You go on in there, you can get you a stick, over 160 bourbons to choose from as well. Kick back and watch your favorite sporting events. You can't beat it. So make sure you guys check them out. Here's the website right here on the stream, rnrcigars.com. In person, the mansion is located here in Tuscaloosa, 2703 Gary Fitz Street. You can go hang out, watch football, basketball, you name it. The finals going on. Nice stick, 160 bourbons. Literally doesn't get better than that. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. All right, so we saw episode 1. You know what, man? We'll save episode 2 for tomorrow. That'll give us some stuff to do because I know we got Ellis on the phone line, so I want to get to him. I know he's been patiently waiting. Dwight says that sounds like 90% of coaches. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This young generation, man, like, we're comparing a guy. Again, I haven't read the whole article, but from the quick little quote, he's like a young Nick Saban because he's serious and knows when there's a time to be disciplined, but he'll kick it with you and have fun. Is that not every coach? Like, maybe not the kick it with you part thing, but like the serious when it's time for come on, man. Anyway, all right, here we go. Phone lines to go. Ellis, welcome in, bro.
Come on, man.
What are we talking about here, Ellis? Jerome Moore is a young Nick Saban because he knows when to be serious and disciplined.
Oh, I'm with you. You're talking about the standard. Things weren't right when before Nick Saban left.
True.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't.
It wasn't like it used to be. So.
No, I think there's a sense. If I'm being honest, this is the word I was looking for, Ellis, a sense of entitlement. I feel like over time, when you're recruiting such, highly touted players, there naturally is a sense of entitlement and just things are going to feel a little bit different versus, Coach Saban's first few classes. I mean, those guys are really getting it out the mud. They really built the foundation here, right? And then when we got here, we were being taught that same standard from those people, you know what I mean? So it was just like it kept being passed down, but I feel like it kind of dwindled out when you started losing a lot of coaching turnover, a lot more new blood coming in, young guys that weren't really around that stuff. So it just is a little bit different. I think it's natural.
Oh yeah, but and like the boy, I think things are going to be better this year.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking to be as good as we was the first season underneath him. I thought we'd lose more games than that, really. I said I think we would lose 2 games, or really I thought we would lose more than that, because a new coach coming in and new system, and some players probably didn't like the system or whatever, but I just think it's going to be better.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we've heard players talk about the buy-in being, and again, that's natural, right? I mean, literally, my dad was joking about the whole substitute teacher thing, but he was being legit. I mean, it's no different than you guys know how it is. I mean, and I just know from an athlete perspective, like when you get a new coach and you're not too familiar with them and you're coming from the best of the best, like it's going to take some time for you to really say like, all right, let me really buy into what they're preaching. Like they have to earn your trust. You know what I mean? And I think this, given that they've had a year now being around these new coaches, seeing what they bring to the table, seeing what they have to offer. I think naturally that buy-in is just going to be much higher. And as a result, we should see a much better product, in my opinion. Now, it's not going to be easy. We looked at the schedule yesterday. A lot of these teams are just as good, have just as much talent. We know how that works. I know we're recruiting well, but the reality is with the transfer portal and all these other factors, there's more parity than ever. But I'm with you. I think year 2 does show a lot of improvements with this team.
Well, and another thing, a lot of the players didn't leave when they could leave too. They stayed there. So
that was huge, man. To me, that honestly shows that what they're doing with this culture and this coaching staff, and even the players. Give credit to the players. I mean, like seeing them when I was up there. My brother doing the recruiting stuff with the DJ stuff. All the players in the locker room participating in these visits, hyping the guys up, getting to know these recruits. That goes a long way, not only with the players, but with the parents. The parents see, this sense of community. They see their kids having fun with the guys, connecting with them. They do a nice job bringing in like Tua Tagovailoa's parents. We're speaking on for a parent panel last week, right? Things like that. They've been doing a really nice job, and I think that helps out tremendously when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, man.
Changing the subject, you said it took 2 hours to trim a beard.
Yeah, man. That dude was taking his time. Now, again, not me. It was my brother and my dad. But yeah, it felt like it was like 2 hours, man. I was like, this is a minute. But hey, he did a great job. So
yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. Yeah, well, like my daughter, when she goes, not my daughter, but my granddaughter, when I showed you a picture of her, when she go get her hair done and get it braided. I mean, like my daughter told me, said it takes 6 to 7 hours just sitting there and somebody braiding her hair.
Oh yeah, now braids. I mean, I rock braids, but yeah, that definitely could take some time. But lining up a beard, man, I mean, like that, I don't know about that. But hey,
I don't do with my beard. I'll go get it done. So, but it don't take that long.
I hear you, man. I hear you, Ellis, man. Good to hear from you. It's been a while, man.
The big music festivals here in town this week.
Yeah, man. I'm sure going to be out there. Make sure you're safe and enjoy it, man.
The Insane Clown Posse is tonight.
Well, make sure you have a blast, man. You deserve it. All that hard work you do. Well, you have to call it back in and fill me in on how it went, man.
I will.
Sure.
And I'll give you some updated on the work I've done on my truck. So
sounds like a plan, man. Always good to hear from you, Ellis.
All right, buddy. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide. All right, that'll do it for us in this Thursday edition. Got Wyatt in the game coming up next right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. This has been the Miller's Edge, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. We'll see you guys tomorrow.